Good morning and welcome to BFM's Morning Headlines. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. It's the 11th of November and it's a Monday. And we start off with a murderer caught, a new murder committed, and a murderous storm. So we'll start with Berita Harian. So Berita Harian has, that's the man suspected of killing the bank teller in a rather cruel fashion. He's been caught. He was trying to escape from Johor to Batam Island, which is in Indonesia and south of Singapore. That's the new murder. I'll come to that a little later on. So there you have it. The Star carries pretty much the same picture. And the headline is fairly straightforward. What's interesting, of course, is some of the newspapers have much more emotive headlines. The New Straits Times, for instance, has, "Why did you have to kill my wife?" Now, that's the husband, and they were childhood sweethearts. It's really sad. In fact, some of the papers already have response stories from the family. So, New Straits Times, Sinar Harian has Tiada Maaf, which, they're not about to forgive the killer. They digitize his face, but as you notice in the other papers, they haven't. In fact, there he is, very clear. Okay. Malay Mail also want to editorialize. Now they have, this is their kind of summation of the situation. Police to crime zero. Two, of course, refers to the other success they've had recently, which was apprehending the people allegedly behind the kidnapping of that young boy. So, but the question is, on a scorecard like this, people might ask, well, when did your scorecard begin? Because for some people, that number might not adequately reflect how people feel about the police. Other big story on the Malay Mail is if Astro stopped airing sports. Now, this might be big news for those of you who are concerned about sports and sports channel and access to sports events. Read the Malay Mail if that's what you're interested in. So there you have it. So here, Utusan Malaysia, again, this story really dominated all the papers this morning. But we'll switch to this story now. That is the man who was shot recently in Pahang. He was the head enforcement officer of the Pahang's Islamic department. He was shot after being greeted by two men in his door, apparently. It sounds like he might have known them. But what's interesting about the Utusan paper coverage, which is different from those other newspapers, which kind of like has it fairly descriptive, what they do, which is quite interesting, is they insinuate that somehow his work at stopping the Shia community from practicing its form of Islam or spreading its form of teaching and the murder. So something really interesting happening here. You can see that tegas benteras Shah ditembak mati. So interesting, might not be true though. But okay, here you have Harian Metro has three things that are interesting because it's ditahan, as you know, dibunuh, he was killed, and this other thing, which I think everybody should read about. Now, this is a story about some civil defense officers who were engaged in some form of ulit mayang, which is a traditional Malay kind of psychotherapeutic dance thing. And at any rate, they all were taken away by the dancing and apparently entered into a state of hysteria. Here, it's sometimes thought of as possession, so they were kind of possessed by spirits. And the word for the day is Rasuk. So there you are. 50 anggota JPAM, which is the civil defense organization, kecoh kerana rasuk. Rasuk means to be possessed. Okay, moving on from that news is something more international. Haiyan's fury. This apparently is the strongest storm or typhoon we've had in recorded history. Now, the thing to note here, it's recorded at the point at which it lands, not at sea where it begins. So it's a category 5 storm that actually landed. Now, some 10,000 people are estimated dead, which is huge. It's said that this could possibly be the worst natural disaster we've had since 2004 and the tsunami. Quite devastating. Over 4 million people affected and over 300,000 people displaced in this event. Dramatic pictures all over the press, internet and stuff. Okay, finally in the business section of your day, we have the Edge Financial Daily and the Malaysian Reserve. Edge Financial Daily has doesn't grab my attention, but what does grab my attention here is the 160 billion rail project that apparently is going on as planned. You know, the government is trying to rein in costs, but some projects are going to go ahead, and apparently the rail project will proceed as planned. That's all I have for you this morning on BFM's Morning Headlines. It's the 11th of November, and I'm still Sharaad Kuttan.